Great. Thank you, Jared. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Thank you for
Nadia.
joining us
Hi,
tonight.
Jessica.
We appreciate you being here. Just a quick reminder, if you're planning on speaking tonight and you have video cam capabilities, if you could go ahead and turn your video cam on so we could see you, that'd be great. And then if you're not speaking at the moment, just go ahead and mute yourselves so we can limit the background noise. Thank you again for joining us tonight. This is the fourth of 6 public outreach meetings that will be held as part of the Binghamton Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative. Tonight's meeting is for local business organizations, and the purpose is to solicit input from the local business community regarding improvements or reforms to the Binghamton Police Department. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Megan Brockett, and I work in Mayor Rich David's office as Assistant for Neighborhood and Youth Affairs, and I'll be serving as the moderator for tonight's meeting. As a member of this collaborative steering committee, my role tonight is limited to ensuring that everyone who has registered for this meeting has an opportunity to speak. Just real quick, as a reminder to the members of the steering committee, the Mental Health Association of the Southern Tier gave a presentation this afternoon on mental health crisis response initiatives by MHAS and the Binghamton Police Department. They spent some time outlining local programs that improve interactions between police and individuals experiencing mental health crises. We know that this meeting and the presentation was held during the workday, so that some of you may not have been able to attend, but the presentation was recorded and it's available to both city steering committee members and the public for viewing on the city's YouTube channel. As you can all see on your screens, we're joined here again tonight by several members of the steering committee. That's including Mayor Rich David and Binghamton Police Chief Joe Zukoski. I just want to say thank you again to the entire steering committee for joining us throughout this process. For those of you who have joined us at prior meetings, either as steering committee members, speakers, or members of the public watching from home, just bear with me for a couple minutes here while I give a brief overview of tonight's meeting structure for those joining us for the first time. So as I said, tonight is about hearing from members of the local business community on ways that the police department can better serve the city's diverse community, improve public safety, implement 21st century policing strategies, strengthen relationships and trust, and address the disparities that affect communities of color. Your input is necessary to reach these goals as outlined in Governor Cuomo's executive order. The city has selected the Finn Institute for Public Safety to serve as an independent research partner in this effort. Finn is charged with collecting and tracking public input and themes during these outreach meetings and surveying stakeholders for additional input. They'll be reviewing a video copy of tonight's meeting. For members of the public watching tonight, I want to thank you for your interest and remind you about the upcoming opportunities for public input. As I said, tonight's meeting with local business organizations is one of 6 outreach meetings, and that includes an open public comment meeting on February 18th at 6:30 p.m. The full meeting schedule can be found on the Collaboratives page of the city website. For those who wish to provide comment during any one of the upcoming meetings, please email the collaborative to register at bpdcollaborative@cityofbinghamton.com. Community members can also submit written comment through that same email address. For tonight, we'll hear directly from members of the local business community. About a dozen of you have signed up to participate in this meeting, and on behalf of the steering committee, I want to thank you all for taking the time to make your voice heard on this topic. Your participation tonight is important, and we appreciate you being here. In order to make sure everyone has a chance to speak, I'll make my way through our list of registered participants, turning over the floor to each of you one by one for up to 5 minutes. When your name is called, please unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and then tell us the name of your business and whatever you would like to share as part of the record for this meeting. We want to hear your experiences, thoughts, concerns, and ideas for improving policing in our community. This is a listening session, not a Q&A or a panel discussion. For each speaker, I'll start the 5-minute timer when your input begins and let you know when we reach the time limit. At that point, please just wrap up your comments so we can move on to the next speaker. After the meeting, the steering committee may wish to follow up with you for additional input and questions. And again, as a reminder, all of this information is part of the community input record that will be available online and included in the Finn Institute's compilation of public comment. So thank you again for being here tonight. And our first speaker is John Clark. Mr. Clark, I will turn the floor over to you.
I'm speaking for the two of us, and thank you for including us in this process. It's been a very difficult year for everyone. John and I have been in business for over 30 years in Greater Binghamton. We live and work in the city of Binghamton. We're very vested in its success, both as local business owners, but as in the prosperity of our community, of all citizens. Regarding our experience with the Binghamton Police, it has always been very positive. In our time of need, when we've had issues, they've always been there for us. So bottom line, we've had very good positive experience. That being said, we do have empathy for the needs of the community and for others who are in additional needs. We certainly can see the issues surrounding us on our city streets. We didn't come with any great solution, just to put it out there that we are interested and we are supportive and we are interested in being more educated on what can be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. And I'm sorry for not properly introducing you. I had John on my list, so
That's okay.
Thank you for your time tonight, for being here, and for sharing your comment. We appreciate it. Next up on our list of speakers is Chris Papistrat. Mr. Papistrat owns the Park Diner on the South Side. He's also a former City Council president. So Chris, the floor is yours. Oh, it looks like he might be frozen. Let's see, we'll give him a second here. We may have to circle back. Okay, we will give Chris a chance to log back on. Next up, we have Peter Newman. Mr. Newman is with M&T Bank. Mr. Newman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Megan. It's my pleasure to represent M&T Bank. M&T has 4 branches within the city of Binghamton, and I would characterize our relationship with the city police department as very strong. They've always been very supportive anytime we've needed them, which thankfully is not all that frequent. But the story I'd like to share with everybody is about 2 years ago, the branch on the east side of Binghamton on Robinson Street was robbed. And the city police arrived very quickly, and as you'd expect, were incredibly professional and handled the situation very well. And when I went and met with the staff that was at the branch, what I recall was their focus on how the police treated them when they arrived. They were full of compassion. So our staff members, it was a pretty traumatic experience for them. Several of the service associates who were behind the teller line were taken aback. This was a somewhat violent robbery with the assailants climbing over the teller window. They had a gun. So it was really a very scary situation. And the police arrived and took care of the situation very professionally, but more so they took care of it in a very personal manner, and they cared about the people that were involved. And so I'm very proud of the officers we have in our police department and the way they handled that. That's been my experience with the police department. I think it's important for people to know that's how they show up. Thank you.
Mr. Newman, thank you for.
Hello, Megan, can you hear me?
I can, Chris. I'll turn the floor over to you now if you want to go ahead and
All
your
right,
comment.
I apologize. Good evening. My name is Chris Papistrat, and my brother Jim and I own the Park Diner on Binghamton South Side, and both of us have lived in Binghamton and raised our families here. I've had many dealings and interactions with the police through the years as a teenager, a resident, a business owner, and a city councilman. Whether they would see me walking home at night when I was a teenager and ask if everything was all right, when they would come to the Park Diner to eat or respond to a call, they were always very caring, professional, and courteous. Through the years, I've met many of these city's police officers and got to know a lot of them personally. I believe they are doing a great job, willing to put themselves in harm's way to keep us safe. When I was on city council, I took the time to really listen and learn about the many different areas within the department, why they are necessary, what they do, and how they impact public safety. I am a firm supporter of community policing, which builds trust and awareness, and I'd like to see more resources put into expanding this area. I hear a lot of discussion about more responses to substance abuse and mental health challenges. Those have been my observations as well. And I agree that resources should be made available to the police to deal with these issues. More training is also a good idea. But I'm very concerned about cutting police. You can add resources to address more challenges without compromising the existing force. It cannot be one or the other.
Chris, I think we might have had you freeze up again.
Too much bacon.
Okay, and just so everyone knows, I think we have mentioned this, but if you're speaking tonight, we appreciate if you could submit your written comment too. That way, any tech issues or anything like that, we'll make sure your full written comment gets out to the steering committee members. That's also included as part of the public record. So if you haven't yet, please go ahead. We'd encourage you to send that over to us. In the meantime, we will move on to our next speaker, Mark Unati with MB Unati Development, LLC, Greater Binghamton Development. Mr. Unati, I will turn the floor over to you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I will tell you that I wasn't as prepared as I thought I would be for this meeting, but I'll just give you a couple quick thoughts. And a lot of it's just to reiterate what the Clarks have said, what Chris Papistrat has said, and what Peter Newman has said. Born and raised in Binghamton my entire life, I have a true love for our area, a passion to see it continue to get better, which I think is certainly, we're going down that road. I think we have a government to be proud of locally. I think the mayor has done a very nice job. I think there's been a lot of passion with a lot of developers in the area who have created a better area and more reasons to certainly stick in our town. I think Chief Sikorsky and his department has done an outstanding job. Thankfully, I don't have a lot of need for the police department on a personal level, but I can tell you from a business owner and a property owner, their level of attention or detail in the community, I think, is pretty fantastic. You know, to give you a couple examples, there's been times where I've had, unfortunately, doors unlocked in some of our properties where they have called me at midnight or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning to acknowledge the fact that they physically were out of their vehicles to check a door. And I think that says a lot about a department that goes the extra mile to make sure they're serving the community. The only thing that I would say, and I would certainly not target the police department, I think it's even more of a public awareness / police department, is maybe it's because I've gotten older and more exposed, but you really understand the level of mental health issues out there today. And sometimes I think it's very difficult to understand this, but you see it more and more often. And if there's any resources that can be contributed to, you know, additional training and kind of a social outreach to make people understand maybe how to deal with some of these people, I think you see it a little bit more often. I personally know that the police department, in my opinion, is maybe a little bit understaffed, that I would certainly be in favor for creating a couple additional positions. But I'd like to thank everyone for participating in this. I think we're all, you know, we all have a love for our area, and we're striving to continue to improve it. So thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for speaking tonight and taking the time just to be here. We appreciate it. We have next on our list, Jude Murray with ENI. Jude, if you'd like to speak tonight, I will turn the floor over to you.
Okay, thanks. Hi, everybody. I think this is, first of all, an excellent idea. I work for a company that has a headquarters in Vestal and offices throughout the country, and my office is here. I'm born and raised here, raised my children here, and I have had certainly very positive experiences. One of my interests is in maintaining the city at a high level, as I have a lot of customers in the city, and I also invite a lot of colleagues from out of town to come here. And I've always had a very positive experience, and so have they. I think additional resources are always necessary. I think that mental health is certainly an emerging issue, and that's in part what one of my divisions of my company work for, are addressing the needs of folks with mental health issues and behavioral health issues. So I always think that more is better, particularly in additional resources and certainly in supporting the police department. I think that they do an exceptional job with the resources that they have, which is impressive all by itself. And I think also, you know, I would congratulate our mayor and his administration for doing a fine job. It's a tough economy out there, and for certainly our city is not different than a lot of other cities. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to grow. I think we have grown tremendously over the last few years, and I would just like to see more financial resources allocated to the police department. Thanks, Megan.
Thanks so much, Jude, for sharing and for taking the time to do this with us tonight. We appreciate it. Next up on our list is Terry Renia, President of Environ Services, Environ Calibrations, and also former City Council President. Terry, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I have approached this after receiving the email from the city and having watched the other meetings. I guess I approached this with a different perspective. There's so many moral and ethical reasons to genuinely take up the issue of policing, but I decided that I would look at this from a business perspective. And as a side note, I find it kind of gross to look at this through purely a dollars and cents perspective, but I'm hoping to do so in the hope that some folks will see that there is a need for change and become more interested. Successful businesses follow rules and protocols handed down from any number of sources, including our customers and clients. And when we're given mandates, good businesses know that our good and responsible businesses know that we need to be thoughtful in planning and making changes. We know that our success depends on acknowledging what we're doing right, but more importantly, we need to acknowledge what we're doing wrong in order to make meaningful change. And I think that's exactly what the governor's executive order asked of municipalities and police departments. So I'm going to talk about the importance of reforming police as an approach to economic development. From a commercial and residential property taxpayer perspective, I have deep concerns about a police department with numerous lawsuits. We all know of at least 3 in the last few years, which involved allegations of racism and sexism from within the police department. And if I were looking at newly purchasing or relocating a business to the city, this would be a huge red flag for me. There's a lack of transparency around resolution and, more importantly, around remediation. And the city has an obligation to the taxpayers to ensure that the things that led to these lawsuits are addressed and changed. I mean, it's morally imperative, but it's also fiscally responsible. So another problem in terms of economic development is the reputation of the city. On a regular basis, I hear from my customers and vendors, oh, I never go to Binghamton, it's too dangerous. This is a direct result of a lack of quality policing and appearances. So I want to take LUMA as an example. LUMA is arguably one of the most successful events ever hosted in the city. And as a sponsor, I have encouraged regional customers and vendors to visit Binghamton for this amazing and unique event. I cannot tell you how many people asked me during the last LUMA, either during it or after the fact, why was the National Guard there? I didn't think they were. Why were there so many police and military vehicles? Were they expecting that there was going to be problems? I understand the desire and the need to be prepared for handling large crowds, but the militarized police presence sends a message that the city is not safe. The next point may be the most important point that I make tonight, and frankly, a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to make it anyway. After speaking with other business owners, I've learned that I'm not alone in the following. There is a hesitation to be part of the solution because there is an inherent distrust as things stand right now. We're hesitant to call the police for disturbances for fear of police escalation. But more than that, there is a reluctance to speak out about our concerns or file complaints when warranted because there is a fear that our own businesses will be treated unfairly in our future dealings with the city. Whether it's accurate or not, it is a real fear among business owners and residents alike. And anyone, a resident, a business owner, a community activist, or even an elected official who dares to question anything done by the Binghamton Police Department is automatically painted as being anti-police. For anyone who doubts this, you can watch it on display at every single city council meeting. There are huge implications to this attitude. People are nervous to call on or question the police, and that is not good for business. Several years ago, Binghamton had an opportunity to be ahead of the curve on the issue of police reform. Binghamton Human Rights Commission, a group of community volunteers working with the previous administration and representatives from the police department, were working to make policing in the city more transparent, more equitable, and more just. Sadly, that effort was shut down. This past summer, as we watched communities around the country rise up in response to ever-present, ongoing systemic racism that exists in so many facets of life, but nowhere more obvious than in law enforcement and criminal justice, I couldn't help but think about how Binghamton had squandered a golden opportunity to be a model for other small cities. Trust me when I tell you, besides being the absolute right thing to do, it would have been a fabulous bullet point on our economic development marketing materials. Instead, when people Google Binghamton now, they find it listed as one of the most dangerous cities in New York State. This, in spite of an ever-expanding police budget and increased personnel. We really need to do better. Luckily, this committee has received some very valuable insights and suggestions, and I hope that they will rely on many of them. Our community had plenty to say last summer in a series of listening sessions that were authentic. They were organized by community activists and they were open. They included unfiltered personal accounts of police interactions, and perhaps more crucially, they included concrete suggestions for police reform. I implore this committee and the administration to consider those research-based ideas, which were submitted with a letter that has so far received close to 200 signatures. Despite the late start and the shortened timeline of this process to effect real change, you have a number of solid ideas in front of you already, and I hope that you'll use them. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Terry, for your comment and participation tonight. Next on our list, we have Ron Saul, owner of Saul Stearns. Ron, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Hi, good evening, and thank you. I'm a little taken back by the last speaker's comments. National Guard were at Luma because there were drones in the air, and that was the correct thing to do from a legal and safety security standpoint. For an event that very few people criticized for safety, considering there were 25 to 30,000 people in a very narrow downtown area. Anyhow, I think the mayor, Mayor Rich David, in his 7 years and a month and a half, whatever it is, has done an outstanding job, especially with the downtown, which, being a businessman in the downtown, it directly affects my perspective of things. And I, apologize if my perspective isn't shared by everybody who's calling in today. But I've seen a great increase. The road work was done terrific. A lot of the renovations downtown, the comments I get from customers from all over, that come from all over, is that the downtown looks a lot better. The beginning of all these wonderful new restaurants, and the job that the Mark Unitis have done down here with his properties, and a high-class restaurant like Social on State Street, all the way down to the beautiful little Binghamton Hots that David Whalen and his family have, to my neighbors next door, who are terrific neighbors and work well with the city and have made so many great improvements like Mark Yanati has. It wouldn't have happened without the help and the work of Rich David. Working together with a municipality and being a businessman sometimes has its, little quirks and little differences of opinions, but these things have been getting done. Downtown, as far as the police security, I think the police officers that I know that have worked downtown and live in our city and work in our city have been just terrific to deal with. I don't know why you can't call the Tony Woods and the different police officers and detectives, and have anything but a good discussion. The law is the law, and our perception sometimes is different than what Chief Zukoski and his team can do. It's just a fact of life. It's frustrating, and sometimes when you see, the students and how they act sometimes, and you see the unfortunate people that do walk our streets that have either a poverty problem or a problem of mental well-being. I don't know of too many incidences that have threatened the lives and the safety of people down here. It seems that with all the kids and the new bars and the new restaurants and seeing adults coming from all over our area and beyond, and the parents of the students coming here thinking it's a pretty cool city, their kids are happy, they feel secure. I know that Mark Yanati and Ron Queller and his team do everything they can to make their environment at their places as safe and secure for the people that come to use their facility, but it's the people that do come downtown. I have my biggest issue, and it always has been, as Mayor, the mayor will tell you, is the parking issue. The one thing I wish that the police would have the ability to do, and I know it's staffing, and I know that with the issues that we don't see every day because of the way they try to handle it well, is that we have issues that we don't have enough police that can monitor the parking situation. Thanks to the guidance of Jared and the mayor and all that worked on building that beautiful new parking facility, which is just, the cutting edge of the new way of parking facilities. And with in the spring, beginning the next parking ramp project, there's no reason for these kids to be parking on Washington Street where the signs say no parking from 2 to 7. And there should be a way that we can go and ticket, tickets do tell the tale. And, the reason, and this is one of the years that we've seen the reason for what Assistant Mayor Richard David and I did years ago, was set up the parking situation so that the streets would be clear, so they can remove snow and even clean the streets. I wish there was a way, Chief Zukoski, that we could get that better monitored. I know there are cars sit in the Metro Center corridor there, and it's great to see because it makes people feel safer to see the police there and they can react faster. But we've got to start ticketing or obviously you don't want a necessary ticket, but discourage people from parking inappropriately. With the ramp, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from customers. Boy, just pull in there, it's easy. Great. You're only less than a block from the main street. Plus, on Washington Street, you have so many great little stores with the gallery, with Sherry Eaton's place and Heidi Week's beautiful little place, and the restaurants and the coffee houses and the other restaurants. So they've done a great job bringing people to the downtown. I just think we've got to monitor the on-street parking a lot better. I don't think we need to use it as a financial windfall for the city, but discourage the easier flow. We have a great opportunity where the loft was to have PS Restaurant, which is, a different level. It's just a great restaurant. They're great, hardworking people. They've been in business for many years. The comments on Facebook, unfortunately, a lot was, where are we going to park? I personally don't see where it's a problem walking 2 blocks to go have dinner. I think it's better to have to walk back to your car 2 blocks so you work off your dinner a little bit. But again, the parking, which the mayor has done everything he can, took down a building that was crumbling and put up a flat lot that now shows the beautiful vista of our downtown. What a gateway project that wound up being. I'm not even sure if we knew it was going to be that way, but it turned out terrific. And the new ramp in a dead lot area.
Mr. Saul, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, I
interrupt you.
will get off, but
No,
thank
that's
you.
okay. We just had the timer went off, and I just want to make sure we can get to everyone here tonight.
And I think the police are completely competent.
Thank you, Mr. Saul. Thanks for taking the time out of your night to be here and to participate. We appreciate it. Next up on our list is Daniel Williams. Mr. Williams, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Williams. I've been living on the west side for 13 years, and I operate a small baking business. I sell bread at the Broome County Farmers Market. My perspective, I guess, I was listening to the community session the other night, and what I was sensing was people are, this can be sort of a divisive issue. And the two things I was mostly hearing is groups of people that are feeling like, things are good, and groups of people that are calling for change. And I just wanted to share a perspective that I think can hold both of those truths at the same time and maybe find a way forward. So I just have a short statement. I'm grateful that the city and the police department are taking the time and interest in addressing police and community relations and race inequalities. This is an issue of the highest importance, and it is one that cannot be ignored or avoided. I have no grievance with the Binghamton Police Department and have had only positive interactions with the police in my time living in the city of Binghamton. And I'd add that I think most people that I know would feel the same exact way. And I think we have a good police department. At the same time, we must all acknowledge the repeated pattern of police officers murdering Black people across our nation. This is an issue that every community and every police department must address. Patterns of racism are deeply ingrained in our culture, and if they're not remedied proactively, these same patterns of inequality and violence will continue to play out. I would like to see the city of Binghamton and the Binghamton Police Department take a leadership role in eliminating discriminatory practices and in improving police department transparency and oversight. Let's not wait for a tragedy to happen within our community for us to take action. Let's take action now to support police and community trust, to invest in help for individuals with mental illness and drug abuse, and to invest in educating and training officers on how to avoid the use of excessive force. The events of the past year have shown clearly that change is coming. Let's embrace the needed changes and make a more safe and equitable environment for all of Binghamton's residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for sharing your written comment too. We'll make sure it gets out to steering committee members and is included as part of the public input. Thank you for your time tonight. Next up, we have Ron Queller. Mr. Queller, I will turn the floor over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ron Queller. I'm a commercial landlord, a residential landlord. I'm a student landlord, a market rate landlord. I'm a restaurant owner and a bar owner, all in the city of Binghamton. Over the years, I've gotten to know a lot of the Binghamton PD. I've had interactions with the Binghamton PD. Some serious stuff involving some of my tenants, some serious stuff involving my neighbors. And I have to tell you, over the years, they've always done a great job. Currently, it's a very difficult climate to be a police officer in the state of New York. People are very quickly to judge and point fingers before actions are done online. There's a tremendous social media mob out there attacking the police. I think our local cops have really done an amazing job through everything. That's pretty much my feedback on it.
Thank you, Ron, for taking time to talk and just to be here tonight to participate in this. So I want to thank everyone who has signed up to participate tonight. As a reminder, all public input meetings are recorded. They'll be available online on the City of Binghamton's website under the 2021 Binghamton Police Reform and Collaborative web page. The next public meeting is for education and youth organizations and will take place on Tuesday, February 16th at 6:30 p.m. And I'm so sorry. Jess Mihal, I see that you might be the last one on here. Did you want to speak tonight? I think we have just steering committee members. And Jess, if you did want an opportunity to public comment, to provide public comment, we can do that now. You are muted though, Jess. Okay, as I've said, if anyone that wanted an opportunity to comment tonight didn't get a chance, just send it over to that BPD collaborative email. That goes for anyone who wants to register for the education and youth organizations. That meeting is coming up this coming Tuesday, February 16th at 6:30 p.m. And if any resident who has thoughts, questions, or input in general that they'd like to share, they can email that same address, bpdcollaborative@cityofbinghamton.com, at any point to submit written comments. The final meeting will be the open public comment meeting on February 18th at 6:30 p.m. where any member of the public can comment. Just email that address to register. Thank you all again, steering committee members, members of the local business community, those watching from home, for your time tonight. We appreciate you being